Rachel Ajambo. I work with Kilimo Trust. I'm the country team leader, Kilimo Trust, Uganda. Regarding the main headline on Ugandan foods disappearing from our shelves and from our markets, in the perspective of Kilimo, we believe that markets always take advantage. Where there is demand, there will always be supply. And the question should be, why are there no Ugandan vegetables, fruits on the markets when they are demanded? So for us as Kilimo, because we are working on implementing the East African Market Protocol, we regard East Africa as one market, and therefore believe that when there are Tanzanian onions or Kenyan tomatoes or carrots in our markets, we believe the regional market protocol is working, because the market protocol says there's free movement of goods, services and expertise across the borders. So we believe this is a good thing, and we urge the public out there to take it as a good thing. It is better to buy from your brothers than from people that you don't know, and therefore you export jobs. So regarding why the Ugandan commodities are not available, we all need to remember that we're experiencing a period of climate change, and in the season of climate change we have weather variability, and therefore that is limiting us in the absence of proper irrigation to supply our markets as demanded. So we believe that with the Tanzanian onions and the Kenyan tomatoes, we believe we are bridging the gap in supply, and we should take this as an opportunity for all of us in Uganda to step up, that there is demand for our commodities, and therefore we should all be working to ensure that these are available.
Sure.
As we all know, government does not do business, and in the absence of government not doing business, markets will always find means and ways to survive. And therefore, with now what the government is promoting in the micro-scale irrigation scheme, which is a project that is being implemented by the Ministry of Water and Environment, we just need that to be upscaled so that our farmers can have access to irrigation water, or water for production. We call it water for production in our agricultural lingo, so that we make sure that our carrots that are demanded in our markets are always available, because consumers will always demand, and they have their money to pay. And a trader who is in the Nakasero market is not going to stop purchasing tomatoes from Kenya because they have failed to get Ugandan supplies, and yet the Kenyan ones are available. So the micro-scale irrigation scheme can actually be upscaled. We are glad to note the new program from the World Bank on the agricultural climate change and resilience and adaptation program. Maybe that's not the right name, but at least we know that World Bank is funding government to work on availing water for irrigation. We just need to upscale that so that we have our farmers access water for production, so that they are able to produce throughout the year and meet the demand for consumers. Sustainable food systems is a really big topic, because sustainability has the environment, it has the politics, it has the production, it has the systems, but it also has infrastructure related. All these are related in ensuring sustainability. What has not been done, and maybe what needs to be improved, especially in sustaining supplies to our markets, is we need more investment, both public and private, in infrastructure, both marketing and hard infrastructure like storage, to reduce post-harvest losses. We need investments in value addition processing, so that supplies are always available. even though they are not in the natural form, but we need value-added products that can supply the needs of a growing urban population. Thank you very much. When I was growing up, for those of us that were born, there is no point in telling somebody adopt a high-yielding varieties, let us create market for you. We create market linkages, and the person at the end of the day does not have anything. They remain within their pocket. For productivity enhancement, for climate resilience, market access, and all these things to make sense, at the end of the day, you must show the farmer where the money is. Okay? So when the farmer does not see the money, they will not adopt the productivity enhancement technologies. They will not even come for the trainings. They will not do anything because they also ask themselves, Mfunira wa? That question must be very clear to the farmers, and that is maybe one of our specialities. We always look at farmer business school, we always look at processor business school to make sure that all the partners we are working with understand where the money is. Okay? If we tell you now there's this very high quality seed, there's this very good fertilizer, you need to adopt it. In climate resilience, you need to manage your water through alternative wetting and drying in your rice fields. It's because we show you where the money is, so that you are clear that by doing 1, 2, 3, you are hoping to get 1, 2, 3. Okay? So all our programs have these aspects attached to them. We don't leave women out. We also engender value chains. I am now implementing a regional program on fish in the fish sector, and it is about 80% women. So we also work with women and women groups because we believe that when women have access to opportunities, the household, the entire household benefits, including the men. We used to have what we call agricultural marketing and cooperative societies. And in that space, the country was zoned into areas producing coffee, into areas producing cotton, and into areas producing other cash crops. And we believe that is a system that can be borrowed again, so that agroecologies that are more suitable for particular commodities take that strategic advantage to supply. For example, areas that are good for coffee should actually concentrate on coffee. And areas that are good for supply of vegetables should concentrate on vegetables and take advantage of the agroecological conditions to actually ramp up production and specialize as well. Our neighbors, Kenya and Tanzania, are very good at this. They've zoned the country, and the countries have actually specialized into production zones. And because with specialization also comes efficiencies that come from economies of scale. So we believe that if we can zone the country into agroecological zones that are particularly strategically advantaged to produce particular commodities, this would be helpful in enabling us ramp up production and yields, and also reduce inefficiencies in our production system that increase costs and also reduce our supply ability. Dr. Biruji Kortaro, and I'm the CEO of Kilimo Trust. And we see a lot of inefficiencies in the value chains, especially the food value chains, because they are largely unstructured. A lot of information asymmetry exists in those value chains. For instance, farmers produce, but they don't know who the buyers are. They do not know where to get the inputs from. They do not know what the consumer wants. If we look at the example of Kenya in tomatoes that is making headlines, they do not know what variety of tomato to plant that the consumer wants. And even after you've planted, they do not know who to sell to. So we largely have very unstructured value chains, and therefore those inefficiencies come about, and then the value chain actors, whether it is the farmers or the processors, are disadvantaged in terms of profit that they can gain. Instead, you have those that we could call as predators that take advantage of this information asymmetry to make abnormal profits, while the others are making losses. So that's what we usually find in the value chains. Okay, our recent census shows that about 70 million people in Uganda are living in urban areas. That's about 37% of our population is now in urban centers, and it's growing annually at about 3%, which is growing very fast. Thinking about 17 million people eating rice, maize, Irish potatoes, that is huge, especially if we are talking about production. But when we look on the production side, our yields are still very low. The yield gap is huge, and we can double or even triple in some cases our current yields to meet the needs of our consumers locally. Although when we are talking about consumption, we can also talk about the East African market as a region. So we not necessarily focus on domestic production, but we can take advantage of production in different countries. But the main point that I need to drive across is that when we are producing small quantities inefficiently, we can't compete with other imports. And that's why others that are more organized can take advantage of the price differential here and supply our consumers. Our consumers also in the urban areas want better packaging. They want information on that packaging. Our young population wants this food available on digital platforms. They do not want to go to our traditional markets. They also want food that has a long shelf life, and all those preferences need to be factored in by the farmers so that they can take advantage of this growing market. And the good news is that we can do it. We have seen that countries that have organized themselves have better coordination at a country level, and also take advantage of specialization, have been able to produce for their consumers, create jobs for their youth population, and also take advantage of this to ensure that the environment is well protected. Because when you take advantage of the production in specialized areas, you do have little impact on the soil. In terms of soil health, we have seen that the crops grow better in areas where you have specialized and that are agroecologically suitable. So when we have production, in the case of Uganda, where every farmer is producing 1 or 2 or 3 different crops, whatever they want to produce is what they produce, mixed messages on who should produce what, where and how, then we can't take advantage of economies of scale. And that really disadvantages the farmer, because they are not able to produce, to get inputs at lower prices, and to take advantage of cooperative and collective marketing.